In this bulletin, hundreds of flags are planted to dedicate a new site for a Christian college in Sydney.
More than 100 school principals meet on the Gold Coast to discuss how to make a difference in the spiritual lives of pupils.
And Christians use their mobile phones in church to Twitter about their experience with God. This is InFocus News. Hello, I'm David Gibbons.
And I'm Tanya Chan. Thanks for watching.
More than 300 people witnessed the turning of the sod and the planting of yellow flags to commemorate the newest Adventist school to be established in Sydney. Construction work on the new K-12 Hills Adventist College at Gumnut Close, Kellyville, New South Wales will commence in the next couple of months. School children, parents, church members and leaders braved the wet weather to dedicate the new 4-hectare site to Christian education.
This is the first time in Greater Sydney Conference that we've had a local church and a school working together in reaching the needs of the community, and we're excited about that.
Seventh-day Adventists first established schools in Sydney more than 100 years ago and now operate 8 campuses in Sydney. 170 students will commence classes for years 5 to 9 at the new site at the beginning of 2010. A joint venture between the college and the 116-year-old Kellyville Church will provide a more integrated approach to ministry in the hills. So a community church, including seating for 1,500 people, a cafe and a kids zone will also be built on the campus.
Millions of orphaned or lost children live on the streets of India. Even some of those with parents are sent out to beg. While it sounds a lot like the Oscar-winning movie Slumdog Millionaire, the Christian organisation Gospel for Asia says it's simply not a movie, it's real life. Street thugs recruit kids and maim them by cutting off a leg or a hand in an effort to make them more effective beggars. Gospel for Asia runs the Bridge of Hope program for 53,000 such children in India, Nepal and Sri Lanka, with a goal to reach 500,000.
Talking about the movie Slumdog Millionaire, Tanya, the director and producer of the movie have travelled to India to reassure the film's 2 poor child stars that they will soon have new homes. Rabina, aged 9, and Azharuddin, aged 10, both lost their homes in May after authorities demolished parts of their slum in Mumbai. Relations between the filmmakers and the children's families have grown tense since the success of the film, which won 8 Oscars and grossed more than $326 million.
Education leaders from Seventh-day Adventist schools have been challenged to play a central role in the mission of the church at a conference held on Queensland's Gold Coast last month. More than 100 school principals from Australia, New Zealand, the Cook Islands and French Polynesia attended the Leaders Educational Conference.
With our principals, that they are part of the core ministry of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, not an adjunct, but right at the heart and centre. So we believe that in the next decade, there are going to be wonderful opportunities for Adventist education to really be front and centre in what the church is trying to achieve in this part of the world.
Speaker Dr. Bailey Gillespie shared results from an extensive research in North America that shows Adventist schools are making a difference in the spiritual lives of their pupils.
Well, we found that the schools are safer. Schools are safer in terms of at-risk behaviour than the secular community. We know that the quality of Adventist education is improving. We know that the grace orientation of young people are understanding how God saves them better and better as time goes by.
Dr. Gillespie says these results are similar to early research obtained by Adventist schools in Australia and New Zealand because similar cultures are involved.
Christians in the island state of Tasmania claim that the legalising of brothels there will lead to a massive expansion of the state's sex trade with devastating effects on women and children. The claim comes in the wake of revelations from a woman who says she was forced into prostitution in the capital Hobart at the age of 14. The woman, who cannot be named for legal reasons, has told the Mercury newspaper that she worked as a prostitute in her early teens and was too scared to escape. Christians say that legalising brothels will only expand the sex trade, and they want the government to hold a parliamentary inquiry into the successful Swedish model of clamping down on prostitution. I have Nick Overton from the Australian Christian Lobby on the line from Tasmania. Hello Nick, what makes the Swedish model so successful in reducing prostitution?
The Swedish model has been successful because the Swedish government decided to criminalise the purchase of sex and the ownership of brothels. And what this saw was the number of women involved in prostitution was actually reduced by 2/3. In addition to that, it reduced the number of men buying sex as well by 80% and led to a huge drop in the number of women being trafficked into the country for sexual purposes.
That's interesting. Thanks, Nick. Light of the World, a Bible correspondence course that has remained popular for the last 50 years, is now available to online students. Last year, the Adventist Discovery Centre gave the print version of the course its first makeover since the 1950s, and now the course is also available online.
We're just so delighted to have this course finished. The content is great, it just presents beautifully, and now it's online, we can share it with the whole world.
Light of the World takes students on a journey through the Gospels and focuses upon the life and teachings of Jesus Christ.
According to a recent study by the University of Wollongong, the Illawarra region south of Sydney, New South Wales, is one of Australia's 6 youth unemployment hotspots. But a church group are determined to turn that around. Church Army Australia is an evangelistic Anglican organisation founded in 1934 during the Great Depression. The organisation has assisted struggling Australian communities for 75 years, following the example of their founder, Wilson Carlile, who began assisting London's poor in the late 1800s.
My name's Wayne Pickford. I head up the team here at Berkeley, and I think we're doing some exciting stuff with non-Christian people who are excited about Jesus, and I'm happy to be putting missional stuff into practice. We're going out into the community and we're making contacts, and now the community's coming back to us wanting to talk about Jesus, so it's pretty exciting stuff.
Members of the Church Army plan to work in suburbs like Berkeley, Warrawong and Warilla, considered by the government to be among the most disadvantaged in New South Wales. The National Director Tim Schuer says there's hope for the region. Seventh-day Adventist Church members in Western Australia have concluded an evangelistic series at Perth University, which was attended by more than 700 people. A further 260 people expressed interest in finding out more about spiritual issues and being informed about further similar events. The Search for Significance series was presented over 4 days by Canadian businessman and evangelist Herb Larson.
But I took out my Bible, my little slimline Bible. I took it out, and I says, you know, you realize this is the book, you know, this book is the textbook for Christians. He says, yeah, I know that. And I said, well, here's what I find interesting about it. This is the most controversial book written in the history of literature.
More than 50 people who attended the series have decided to meet regularly to discuss Christianity and study the Bible.
Do you Twitter during church? Some say it's rude, but some pastors are encouraging their congregations to use their phones during the church service. The 4,000-member congregation at the Discovery Church in Orlando, Florida, are encouraged to send electronic text messages to one another. They also use their mobile phone at Mars Hill in Seattle and at the Trinity Church in New York City. And at the Next Level Church outside Charlotte, North Carolina, Pastor Todd Hahn starts his sermons by saying, I hope many of you are tweeting this morning about your experience with God. Hahn says that if worship and fellowship is about creating community, Twitter and other internet-based social networks are undeniably useful. Research predicts 50% of the world's population will have mobile phones by the end of 2009.
A standing ovation has been given to retired Archbishop Desmond Tutu in Edinburgh, Scotland. Tutu told the Presbyterian Church of Scotland General Assembly that homosexuals have a place in the church. The denomination has been divided on the issue of gay clergy and says it will not ordain homosexual clergy or engage in public discussion about the matter for 2 years. But after a 15-minute speech in the Scottish capital, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate received a standing ovation, suggesting the issue is far from shelved.
And in brief, 60 church members from the Toowoomba Central and Glenvale Adventist congregations have taken turns to read the entire Bible out loud. It took them 72 hours, starting at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday and concluding at 2:15 p.m. the following Tuesday. According to event organiser Charles Boyd, it was mostly the young people who had the vitality, commitment and enthusiasm to read during the late night and early morning hours. Did you know that you can watch the full half hour of InFocus on Hope Channel every weekend?
And if you don't have Hope TV, you can watch segments of the program online. Thanks for watching. I'm Tanya Chan.
And I'm David Gibbons. See you again next week.